Hello Internet, I'm Asha and I am talking to you today about transitioning into a waste-free lifestyle. I've had a bunch of really enthusiastic friends contact me recently wanting to start but having no idea where to put their energy. So this is different to my last video, which has a lot of great tips and tricks in reducing your impact on the earth, but this one is going to talk more about how to actually start being waste-free today. So basically our aim is to eliminate everything that's going to go into your trash bin. So it's easy to start beating yourself up when you begin this lifestyle and getting angry every time you slip up. Every time you do make a mistake, just see it as a learning curve for next time, and it actually becomes a positive thing. For me, going cold turkey is the best approach, because that way you're not tempted to kind of have slip-ups and go, oh, but next time, oh, but I'm phasing this out. It's just so much better to just go, no, I am waste-free, let's do this, let's hit it on the head. Waste-free, I believe, goes very well hand in hand with minimalism, which means to begin this transition, your first step is not to go into an eco store and buy sets of cutlery and keep cups and $40 aluminium tins for your lunch. It's to look at what you already have and say, this is me, this is what I've got, and I don't need anything more than this. The benefits are that it is so much cheaper to live this way. You basically reduce the amount of junk food that you would eat by about 90%, because everything that comes in a packet that is processed does not exist in this world. So you're basically doing a complete clean out of everything bad that you eat. A lot of people think it is more expensive because they look in a organic shop or a bulk food store and have a heart attack, but this is because everything's sold per kilo, and when you really look at it and you compare it to the prices of like little packets of nuts and cacao that Woolworths and Coles sell, it is drastically cheaper. And you're also not buying things in excess or impulse buying, because you're not around that, you're not around the 2-for-1 deals, and you actually end up spending far less money. A lot of people think it is very time consuming to make a lot of your own products and go and get all these special things, but if you're going to the bulk food store or the market, it takes just as much time as it does to go to the supermarket. And as for making your own products, that is totally your choice how deep you want to go into it. I am fashioning my own lipstick and foundation today. I made it out of organic children's crayons and some lots of different spices and arrowroot flour. But there are so many other options for like household cleaning products and stuff that you can buy in bulk that are pre-made, so you don't have to make it yourself, which is saving time. I never feel like I'm exhausted living this life. At the beginning it can become a little bit frustrating, and it does take a good deal of pre-thought and planning, and you know, if you're on the road or something, you've just got to remember that you've got to be prepared all the time. So this is a guide to moving into the waste-free lifestyle, and you can leave comments and stuff below about more specific stuff, but this is basically your overhaul 101. I've also collated a document that is in the links below as well, that I'm going to keep adding to as people ask for things, but it's pretty much anything and everything I can think of, from gift wrapping to deodorant, of how to live waste-free. Step 1 is to check your rubbish. Have a look at what is in there. Firstly, I want to address the matter of organic matter going into your rubbish. You do not put anything that is food in a plastic bag, because this produces a great deal of carbon emissions. The average Australian produces 400 kilograms of waste per year, 180 kilograms of which is green waste that could otherwise have been disposed of in a compostable, more recyclable way. For every 1 kilogram of vegetable matter that goes into the ground in a dump and is broken down anaerobically without oxygen, 0.17 kilograms of methane is produced. This is a greenhouse gas that is 21 times more damaging on the ozone than carbon is, which is, carbon dioxide is still terrible. So this actually equates to nearly half a ton of carbon emissions going into the atmosphere every year per person, just from putting your vegetables in the bin. If you live in an apartment, you can totally have a worm farm or a little compost in your apartment. You can go to a friend's house that has a yard and use their compost, or you could go to a community green bin or a community garden and give compost to them. There's a lot of people around, so just start looking and asking and doing your homework. when I'm traveling, I like to freeze my vegetable scraps in the freezer, and then late at night I go out and like put them in people's gardens and in the parks and stuff. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, if you freeze everything, then the smell thing is not an issue. If you've already got a lot of pasta packets and Tim Tams and things like that in your rubbish bin, you can send them to a program that is being made called Redcycling, and there's little bin collection points at places like Coles, and they actually turn all of your old packets into like children's climbing equipment and stuff, but that doesn't give you a free run to use it to begin with. It's just that if you've already got it, put it there. Before you take your old packets, have a look at what you actually eat. What is the main thing, whether it's pastas, whether it's bread, whether it's, you know, like wrapping of tomatoes or something like that, and really maybe even make a list and identify what are the main things you eat, and then figure out one by one how to find these package free. One of the most important things to do is to boycott big chain supermarkets. They are monopolizing, they are money hungry, they take little care in how they package and provide foods for people, and literally if I walk in and try and buy a waste-free grocery list, I can't buy anything past a few fruits and vegetables, and even then sometimes I can't, even because they wrap everything in plastic. They also produce a lot of waste because they demand perfection from the farmers, so much stuff gets thrown out before it can even get brought to the shelves, just because they want a certain aesthetic in their store. Instead, acquaint yourself with farmers markets, your local fruit shops, and even organic home order systems like Spray Free Pharmacy, spelled with an F, and you can just contact them and ask for a waste-free box. Make that switch for all your fresh produce, and make sure that you obviously are looking for stuff that's not pre-packaged, that's not put on a tray. And it's always great to mention to the small shop owners if everything is in a tray or everything is packaged. Start consumer feedback, because that's so important, and I've actually been a catalyst in changing a lot of the ways that a lot of my local fruit shops operate. So every time you go in, you can ask why they put all their sweet potatoes on a tray in Glad Wrap, and you can even go to the guys at the back and say, hi, can I please have some of your stuff before you put it on a tray, because most of the time their answer is just, oh, it's easier this way, it's easier for the girls at the checkout. So I can't stress enough how important it is for people like you to start giving them feedback, and it changes so much. You can also apply this to any restaurant or cafe that you go into and see them using something that is disposable. You can start the conversation with them in a lighthearted way, and they normally take it really well. You've got to be okay with missing out. So if the only cucumbers that they have are wrapped in plastic, you just go, oh, okay, we're not having cucumbers at the moment, I will get them at a different place. Bakeries for bread are great. They will always have a paper bag, but if they don't, you can always bring a little calico bag or some parchment paper or a reused paper bag. It is far better to shop seasonally for a lot of reasons, including food miles and your well-being. So avoid buying things that are imported, that are frozen or that are tinned. Frozen berries is a tough one. I haven't figured out how to get that waste free. I know there was a small place in Perth that had like a big freezer where you could scoop out your own berries. So if anyone in Brisbane knows of a place like that, I will give you a really big hug. If you want berries, you can take a container to the markets and, you know, ask the guy that's driven from the farm, the raspberry farm, to put your raspberries in the container and get him to reuse it. But that's kind of like a sort of work sometimes. Bulk stores. You have to get acquainted with your local bulk store, and sometimes you have to realize that you need to maybe go to a few different ones because they all carry different stuff. So my advice for you would be to grab a bunch of jars and containers that can hold both dry things and liquid things, and head on into your bulk store, have a look around, ask people, and you'll see how much stuff they have. They've got stuff from tea and coffee to oils, sugar, sweetener, honey, freshly ground peanut butter, which I am shamefully addicted to, grains and quinoa and cereals and sweets, licorice, fruit and dried nuts and dried fruit, and bicarb soda and all of the different flours, and just a whole heap of really great stuff. I had a friend ask me about paper bags and whether they're okay. Biodegradable cutlery and forks and paper plates and stuff are so much better than the other one, but the word biodegradable can actually include things that take up to 180 years to decompose. So those like plastic bio cups are always an option, but it is so much better to just bring your own stuff. If you've got paper bags, you can take them back to the bulk store and reuse them, no worries. I've actually got little like calico bags that my mum sewed me with a little drawstring, and I just use them. For toiletries and cosmetics, I've got a shower video down below, and I will post a makeup one soon. But there are some places that will give you all of your like cosmetic needs. There's a beautiful place in Brisbane called Handmade Naturals on Gladstone Road in Wollongabba, and they have everything from fractionated coconut oil to jojoba oil, cacao butter, shea butter, all of the different like rose water and Castile soaps, all in bulk. You can bring all your little vials and old medicine containers and stuff and get a whole heap of stuff, and it's so much cheaper. I had like a whole bottle of almond oil that cost me like $1 as opposed to 15. So there are obviously a lot of other ways that plastic can come into your life other than food, but food is the biggest contributor. So once you get a handle on that, you can start to look at other things in your life, but I encourage you to just start becoming aware of what you're using. So if you're using sunscreen, or if you're sending a lot of letters that have little plastic things in them, or wrapping things in sticky tape, just start to have a look at what you're actually using and start thinking for yourself for alternatives. It's a really great thing to go into this with someone else and discover things together. There's always an alternative option out there, and plastic is never a need. So I really encourage you all to have a go at this. Even make yourself a challenge to do it for a week. Keep all your rubbish, and good luck. You can send me a message or comment below if you have any further questions. I am very happy to answer them for you. Thanks for watching, and good luck becoming waste free. Yeah.